for sure. We just come a couple of months ago from the service downtown, guy get on the bus, killing people. And I beg you all before, when it happens to an elderly, you all gonna be wondering what to do. I'm begging you. Fulton County cut their program. What about assisting in providing some lift services for senior citizens? It just dawned on me. I'm 65 years old, and I'm one of those persons who I'm talking about. Past month, I spent 7 days in the hospital. It's not hard for me to stand here today. But I beg of you, instead of always, let's take these 85 million that you all were to pay as a down payment for the facility. What about taking some of that money and provide lift services for senior citizens? Won't cost you that much, and then again, however much it costs, we the taxpayer, we paying for it. It is the taxpayer's money. Please consider this more than just consider. Take a vote on it. That's why I wore my hat and my jacket.
Time has expired. Thank you, Mr. Davenport.
Thank you all so much. I really do appreciate it.
Next will be Malik Poole.
Have a great day.
Councilman Bond.
Thank you for your comment, Mr. Davenport, and bringing this to our attention. But as we have discussed in the past, Fulton County was funding their program through a federal grant. And so if their funding has been cut, then I would assume that their federal grant has been cut.
But
I'm responding to you. And so I'm all in support of trying to find a way for the city of Atlanta to provide a similar service. And I've been in talks with the grants management people at Fulton County to see if we can get in the same grant cycle with, so the city can apply for that. But they were not using their general fund monies to do so. So when I have an update, we talk, pretty frequently, I'll make sure I'll let you know.
Well, I appreciate that response, but it's September. It's getting a little bit close to Christmas. Lord knows how people act when it gets around that time. We all know how devilish people act coming around the holidays. Stealing, killing, robbing, and whatever. And not to my seniors. Do all we can to help seniors. You put money into the Beltline, put money everywhere else. Why not actually just step forward and do it? Just get it done.
Thank you, Mr. Davenport.
Thank you.
All right, I'll let you know when I find out.
Next will be Malik Poole. Malik Poole. Malik Roberts. Miriam Ahmad. Ian Connell. Cage Vick. Almalat. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
I'm here today. Well, I'm not going to talk about the homeless no more because y'all already know what's going on in these communities. Y'all got a big protest down here because y'all won't vote for the right thing. And it's sad. But what y'all didn't know about Almalat, I'm part of some of the biggest organizations it is. And we're going to get some of these seats back because y'all are hurting people in our communities. I never in my life, over the 30 years I've been in Vine City, seen so many homeless senior citizens. It's a shame. And over half of y'all own properties. What y'all took the people money to buy. We know some of that too. But y'all to be ashamed not to vote on this for these people. I might not be a part of this or whatever, but I'm gonna stick with the group of people that I know are fighting for people. And y'all not fighting for y'all communities when we walk through them. Mayor, we know Buckhead getting a lot. Because through Vine City and English Avenue, they done sold us out. But they don't even have no more historic sites for the people. What's wrong with y'all? Y'all tearing down everything. Everything voting yes on it. But I bet you any kind of money, Buckhead got the most safest community it is now. And crime not down in Vine City and English Avenue. I walked through there. I know these murderers, these killers, these police need to get on their jobs. We need housing in our community. And we don't need city council and all y'all holding back this money, because half of y'all sit up on these housing boards. And whoever speak out, you're not gonna help them. And that's a discrimination. And I'm asking y'all, since all y'all wanna be all good, the people are gonna take their house back.
Time is
And
expired.
they're gonna be city councilor.
Next will be Derek Blassingame. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
I don't need your luck. I'm blessed. Let me say this here. Derek Blassingame, I'm always for the people because what I know what you all have done to me and to my life has made me more victorious than I could have ever been in my life. I thought Atlanta was one of those cities that I always wanted to go to, but I regret that I came here. I wish I had chose the city of Baltimore, Maryland. But that's no here nor there. I'm here. What you all have done and what I thought was happening to me over the last several years here in the city of Atlanta, being prosecuted by Fulton County, being prosecuted by Georgia State University Police for pursuing higher education, in my degree of which I've completed all degree requirements, being prosecuted by Marta Police in Superior Court for crimes that doesn't amount to anything other than me exercising my First Amendment right. But I never thought in a million years that Atlanta police would be assisting in this prosecution in the background, that they would be coordinating, orchestrating, and leading the prosecution against Derek Blassingame through the criminal justice system in the state of Georgia. I didn't move here for my life to be ruined. I moved here for a better life. I moved here to finish my education like my grandparents, who were married for 70 years, taught me to pursue and didn't have a chance to because they raised 6 children. I moved here for a better opportunity, but all I've gotten is homelessness, unemployment, eating out of your soup kitchens, standing in your safety net organization lines. After living a fruitful life, having 5 apartments, paying off 7 vehicles, and being in higher education since 2011, you have the wrong guy. Your guy is in Los Angeles. My grandparents were devout Seventh-day Adventist Christians. They raised me to respect authority and to abide by the law to the best of my extent. Not to be perfect, because my mother and dad also taught me how to be imperfect too. They were together for 40 years. They were the complete opposite of my grandparents. But what you all have done in this city to make a mockery out of my existence since 1986, when this city has been built on me, everything you have had since 1986 was because of me. I fought for your freedom, and you sold yourself the darkness.
Time has expired.
I come from a heterosexual family.
Thank you. That concludes the remarks of the public today. We will now move to the report of the journal. Madam Clerk.
Good afternoon, Council President, members of council. I, Corinne A. Lindo, Municipal Clerk of the City of Atlanta, do hereby certify that the minutes of the regular meeting held on Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024 are true and correct.
If there are no additions or edits to the minutes, I would entertain a motion to adopt. Moved by Councilman Norwood, seconded by Councilman Hillis. Is there any discussion on the adoption of the journal? We can do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection to the adoption of the journal? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent.
9 yeas, 0 nays.
9 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt the journal carries. Next, we'll move to communications. Madam Clerk.
Item number 1 is 24C 5118. This is a communication from Tanya Greer, County Clerk, to the Fulton County Board of Commissioners, submitting the appointment of Ms. Bridget Walton to the Beltline Tax Allocation District Advisory Committee. This appointment is for a term of 2 years. Staff recommendation to refer to Community Development Human Services Committee and Committee on Council.
Let the item follow that course.
Council President, if I may take items 2 and 3 as a block.
Without objection, please proceed.
Item number 2 was 24C 5119. This is a communication from Municipal Clerk, Election Superintendent Corinne A. Lindo, submitting the certification of official and complete statement of votes cast from Fulton County Board of Registration and Election, and the final summary and complete statement of votes cast from DeKalb County Registration and Elections for the City of Atlanta Municipal Option Sales Tax Special Election held in conjunction with the presidential preference primary on May 21st, 2024. Item number 3 is 24C 5120. This is a communication from Municipal Clerk Kevin Lindo submitting a report of an administrative correction made to previously adopted legislation between the regular council meeting dates of September 3rd, 2024 and September 16, 2024 to the Atlanta City Council in accordance with Section 2-275 of the Atlanta City Code of Ordinances. This is a correction to 23-0-1367. Staff recommendation to both items is to accept and file.
Let the items follow that course.
That concludes the communication items.
Thank you. I don't believe there's any vetoed legislation.
No, there's not.
There is one piece of unfinished business that was held in the breast of council at the 9/3/2024 meeting by Councilmember Shook. So Councilmember Shook, that comes back before us automatically. I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to send it back to committee.
To FEC?
Yes.
There's a motion by Councilmember Shook to refer 24R 3982 back to FEC. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Overstreet. Any discussion on the motion to refer this item back to the FEC? Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to refer.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote's closed. That's 9 yeas, 0 nays.
9 yeas, 0 nays, the motion to refer carries. Next, we'll move to the consent agenda, section 1. These are items found on page 4 of your printed materials. They are items for second reading. But first, before we entertain a motion to adopt, let me ask if there are any items to be removed from the consent agenda. Councilmember Shook.
Thank you for the reminder. I would like to remove 24O1476. That would be item 20 on page 8. 24O1476.
Thank you. Any other items for removal from the consent agenda, section 1? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda, section 1, with the one item removed. Moved by Councilmember Hillis. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Shook. Any discussion on the motion to adopt the consent agenda, section 1, with one item removed? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt consent agenda.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote's closed. 11 yeas, 0 nays.
11 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt the consent agenda with one item removed carries. Councilmember Lewis.
President, can we send 240-1468, 240-1456 to both to the mayor's office post haste?
1468, and did you have another one or just that one?
1456.
1456. 1468 and 1456 post haste by, those are, the motion is offered by Councilmember Lewis. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Westmoreland. And I think there may be some others, so let me, Councilmember Shook.
Yeah, thank you. Per the Finance Department's request, I would like to send 3 of the bond papers to the mayor's office post haste as well. They are 24O1479, 24O1484, and 24O1485. Thank you.
1479, 1484, and 1485. Any others?
Council President.
Councilmember Winston.
Thank you. Yes, I'd also have two items, 24-01486, as well as 24R-3988. I'd like to send those two items.
3918. Is that right?
3988.
88, thank you. Any others? So, Councilmember Lewis, I would entertain a motion to adopt all of these in a block, if you don't mind. Post haste.
I'd entertain a motion to adopt all of these in a block post haste.
Seconded by, there's a motion by Councilmember Lewis to move O 1468, 1456, 1479, 1484, 1485, 1486, and R 3988, all as a block post haste. It's seconded by Councilmember Bond. Councilmember Westmoreland, did you want to speak?
After the vote.
So any discussion on the motion to move post haste? We can do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent on the motion to move these items post haste.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
11 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to move post haste carries. Councilmember Westmoreland.
Thanks, Mr. President. Similar to the $100 million housing bond that was on the consent agenda on June 5th, 2023, 24-0-1486 that Councilmember Winston just sent to the mayor's office is a $75 million homeless opportunity bond that was also on the consent agenda. So didn't want it to be lost amid the last 30 minutes that we just committed a new $75 million to helping Atlanta's unsheltered population.
Thank you. Next, we will move to the consent agenda section 2. These are items that begin on page 33 of the printed materials. The appropriate motion will be to refer. But first, let me ask, are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda section 2? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to refer. Moved by Councilmember Shook, seconded by Councilmember Bakhtiari. Is there any discussion on the motion to move to refer the consent agenda section 2? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to refer.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 11 yeas, 0 nays.
11 yeas, 0 nays, the motion to refer carries. Next, we'll move to the report of standing committees. First up today will be the Committee on Council, Chair Bakhtiari.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. If there are no objections, can we take items 1 and 2 together?
Please proceed.
Item number 1, 24-C-5115, a communication from Ms. Judith Taylor accepting service on behalf of the Black Jewish Sisters to serve as a member of Black/Jewish Sisters to serve as a member of the Commission to determine an appropriate manner in which to honor Mayor Shirley Franklin. Favorable by nope. Let me go on to item number 2 first. 24-C-5116, a communication from Mayor Andre Dickens, appointing Ms. Willetta Phipps to serve as a member of the Civil Service Board on behalf of the City of Atlanta. This appointment is for a term of 3 years. Both items were favorable out of COC, and the recommendation is to adopt.
There's a motion coming out of committee to adopt C 5115 and 5116. It does not need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt these items? Since there are communications, we can do this with unanimous consent. Any objection to the motion to adopt? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
11 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries.
Item number 5, 24-0-1399, an ordinance by Councilor Liliana Bakhtiari, substituted by the Committee on Council to amend Charter of the City of Atlanta, Georgia, 1996 Georgia laws, adopted under and by virtue of the authority of the Municipal Home Rule Act of 1965, OCGA Section 36-35-1, ET, as amended by amending Atlanta City Charter Part 1, Article 3, Chapter 4, Section 3-40, as it relates Nope, I'm sorry, to implement a process by which the chair of the Committee on Council may sunset boards, authorities, commissions, and other similar bodies following a period of inactivity of 2 years to amend the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances to reflect the actions of this charter amendment and for other purposes. This item comes with a favorable out of COC, and the recommendation is to adopt.
There's a motion coming out of committee to adopt 24-0-1399. It doesn't need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt this item? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt.
The vote is open. The vote's closed. 11 yeas, 0 nays.
11 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries.
Thank you. That concludes my legislative agenda. With your permission, I would like to make a quick announcement.
Go ahead.
Just a reminder that we are continuing to identify which base vacancies are crucial and important are crucial and need to be filled. Again, we're focusing on the Atlanta Commission on Fatherhood, Men and Boys. We will also be focusing on our commission around reparations, as well as our commission for Small Business Advisory Board. These are going to be the first three we focus on out of the series of boards that we are trying to fill. Myself and Mr. Overton will be emailing you all today and later in the week to remind you of these appointments, and I'll be coming around to remind my colleagues as well. So again, we have 12 vacancies on the Atlanta Commission on Fatherhood, Men and Boys. We are three away from a quorum, and I know we are getting ready to re-up some of our appointments. But just my reminder to my colleagues to please take a look. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be Zoning Committee. Vice Chair Overstreet will be giving the report today.
Okay, zoning report. We have a total of 7 ordinances. 2 will be voted on and 5 will be referred. So let's start with ordinance for second read, if that's fine. Number 1, 24-0-1324, case number Z-24-40, location 126 Hilliard Street, Southeast 89 Williams Home Border Drive, Southeast, and 380 Decatur Street, Southeast. The ordinance is to rezone from RG5, Residential General Sector 5, and I-1 Light Residential to MRC3, Mixed Residential Commercial. The recommendation from the committee is to approve.
There's a motion coming out of committee to adopt 24-0-1324. It does not need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt this item? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt 24-0-1324.
The vote is open. Everyone, please vote. The vote's closed. It's, one moment. Ten yeas, 0 nays.
10 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries.
Okay, moving on to item number 2, legislative number 24-0-1322, case number Z-24-37, location 3218 Hogan Road, Southwest. The ordinance is to rezone from R3, single-family residential, to MRC2, mixed residential commercial. The committee voted to adverse, so my motion is to adverse.
There's a motion coming out of committee to adverse 24-0-1322. It doesn't need a second. Any discussion on the motion to adverse? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adverse.
The vote is open. The vote's closed. That's 8 yeas, 0 nays.
8 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adverse carries.
Thank you. Moving on to first reads, I'd like to take items 3 through 7 as a block.
Without objection, please proceed.
Okay, legislative number 24-0-1492, case number Z-24-56, location 1529 and 1539 Carlisle Street, Northwest. The ordinance is to rezone from R4A, single-family residential, to MR2, multifamily residential. Number 4, 24-0-1493, case number Z-24-58. The location is 425 Chapel Road, Northwest. The ordinance is to rezone from PDMUBL, Plan Development Mixed Use Beltline Overlay, to PDMUBL, Plan Development Mixed Use Beltline Overlay for a major site plan amendment. Number 5, 24-1940-1494, case number U-24-26, location 889 Howell Mill Road, Northwest, Suite 8000. The ordinance is for a special use permit for a non-residential use for establishment exceeding 7,500 square feet in area in which alcoholic beverages are sold or consumed on the premises. Number 6, 24-0-1495, case number U-24-27, location 650 Montgomery Ferry Road, Northeast. The ordinance is for a special use permit for a private school. And number 7, 24-0-1496, case number U-24-28. The location is 1183 6th Street, Northwest. The purpose is for the ordinance is for a special use permit for a personal care home. I move to refer items 3 through 7 to ZRB and Zoning Committee.
There's a motion by Councilmember Overstreet to refer these 5 items to the ZRB and Zoning Committee. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Shook. Any discussion on the motion to refer these 5 items? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to refer.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 9 yeas, 0 nays.
9 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to refer carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be the Public Safety Legal Administration Committee. Chair Boone.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do not have a report today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be the City Utilities Committee. Chair Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do not have a report today.
Thank you. Next up will be the Community Development and Human Services Committee. Chair Winston.
Thank you, Council President. I have 3 items today coming out of the committee. The first item is 23-0-1253, CDP-23-010, an ordinance by Community Development and Human Services Committee to amend the land use element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to redesignate property located at 1855 DeLoe Drive from single-family residential land use designation to low-density residential land use designation and for other purposes. This came out of NPUR, Council District 11. Mr. President, the motion out of committee is to file.
There's a motion coming out of committee to file 23-0-1253. It does not need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to file this item? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to file.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote's closed. 10 yeas, 0 nays.
10 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to file carries.
Thank you. The next item is 24-0-1433, CDP number listed, an ordinance by Community Development and Human Services Committee to amend the land use element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to redesignate property located at the parcels listed at 3218 Hogan Road Southwest from the single-family residential land use designation to the mixed-use medium-density land use designation and for other purposes. Mr. President, the motion out of committee is to adverse.
Motion coming out of committee to adverse 24-0-1433. It does not need a second. Any discussion on the motion to adverse this item? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adverse.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. That's 8 yeas, 0 nays.
8 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adverse, please reflect Councilmember Shook as an aye.
Nine yeas, 0 nays.
9 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adverse carries.
And lastly, I have 24-0-1439, CDP-24-00022, an ordinance by Community Development and Human Services Committee to amend the land use element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to redesignate property located at 1388 Northwest Drive from the medium-density residential 0 to 16 units per acre land use designation to high-density residential land use designation and for other purposes. Mr. President, the motion out of the committee is to file.
Motion coming out of committee to file 24-0-1439. It does not need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to file this item? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to file.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. That's 9 yeas, 0 nays.
Councilmember Bakhtiari, how would you like your vote reflected? Please
10
reflect.
yeas, 0 nays.
10 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to file carries.
Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next up will be the Transportation Committee. Chair Amos.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have one item today, a resolution 24-R-3996. Item number 1, page 55, a substitute resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute an agreement for RFP-PS-DOA-2305-1230361 general on-call marketing at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport with Jacobs I LLC on behalf of the Department of Transportation for a 3-year initial term with 2 1-year renewals in the amount not to exceed $2,350,000 and 0 cents. All contracted services will be charged to and paid from account numbers listed herein and for other purposes. Recommendation is to adopt.
There is a motion to adopt coming out of committee 24-R-3996. It does not need a second. Any discussion on the motion to adopt this item? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt.
The vote is open. Vote is closed. 11 yeas, 0 nays.
11 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries.
Thanks, sir. That concludes our report.
Thank you. Finally, today will be the Finance Exec Committee. Chair Shook.
All right, thank you. Our lone item is 24-0-1476, which was pulled from the consent agenda. And I would move an amendment to add the words various council carry forward accounts to the caption. This is a District 9 carry forward paper.
There's a motion to amend by Councilmember Shook, 24-0-1476. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Hillis. Any discussion on the motion to amend this item? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to amend.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 10 yeas, 0 nays.
10 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to amend carries.
I'll move approval as amended.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Councilmember Westmoreland.
Councilmember Westmoreland, how would you like your vote reflected on the motion to amend? It's an aye for Councilmember Westmoreland.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
11 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to amend carries. Councilmember Shook.
I'll make a motion to approve as amended.
There's a motion to adopt as amended 24-0-1476 by Councilmember Shook, seconded by Councilmember Bakhtiari. In discussion on the motion to adopt as amended. Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt as amended.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? Councilmember Westmoreland? The vote's closed. That's 10 yeas, 0 nays.
10 yeas, 0 nays, the motion to adopt.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Amos?
Oh, Councilmember Amos. Aye for him.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
11 yeas, 0 nays, the motion to adopt is amended carries.
That concludes the report.
Thank you. That concludes the report of the standing committees. Next, we will move to items for immediate consideration. We have one item for immediate consideration today. Councilmember Amos.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. We have AMS number ID 36273, a resolution by Councilmember Byron D. Amos authorizing the mayor or his designee to apply for a 2 fiscal year 2025 U.S. Department of Transportation discretionary grant in an amount not to exceed $21 million and 0 cents each for the Reunify Atlanta West Side project and for other purposes. Whereas the city of Atlanta has an interest in maintaining the health and safety of the welfare of the citizens of the city of Atlanta and its visitors, whereas the city charter provides that the city may lease, regulate the use of, or control public ways located in the city of Atlanta, whereas the United States Department of Transportation published a notice of funding opportunity under the U.S. Department of Transportation FY 2025, Reconnecting Communities pilot and rebuilding America infrastructure with sustainability and equity discretionary grant program, and whereas $607 million in grant funds will be awarded in FY 2025 in a competitive basis to funding planning and capital construction for investments in structured transportation that will have a significant local or regional impact, and whereas the application deadline established by the USDOT in September 30th, 2024 for the RCP grant and January 13th, 2025 for the RISE grant, and whereas this NOFA solicit applications for all eligible applicants, which includes public universities and local governments like the city, and whereas the city is applying in partnership with the PATH Foundation and Georgia Institute of Technology, or one of its affiliate organizations, Georgia Tech, with PATH Foundation and Georgia Tech will manage the implementation of the grant and will be reimbursed for the expenditures of federal funds through the city, whereas the city is allocating $8 million as part of the $8 million as part of the horizontal infrastructure bond toward the West Side Connector Bridge, aka former Bankhead Bridge, redevelopment to multiple youth paths, buffered cycle track, sidewalk improvements, ADA bus enhancement, lighting, and stormwater updates, which will meet the match requirements of the grant. And whereas the Georgia Tech Foundation will also contribute funds toward the project, and whereas the project will connect West Side neighborhoods such as Vine City, English Avenue, Washington Park, Grove Park, and Bankhead directly to the Beltline, and a multi-use path that will tie together the Marietta Street artery into the Path Parkway and Georgia Tech pedestrian and micro-mobility trails that provide direct, affordable, alternative directions, transportation access to Centennial Olympic Park in Midtown, whereas the project takes place several census tracts of persistent poverty and is intended to provide a safe walking, biking alternative to Donnelly Hollowell, one of Georgia's most deadliest roads for pedestrian cyclists, and whereas the project aligns with the goals and values of the city plan, and whereas the application is to advance the design and the construction of the project, now therefore be it resolved that the City of Atlanta, Council of the City of Atlanta, Georgia, that the Atlanta City Council hereby authorize the mayor or his designee to apply for the RISE or RCP fiscal year 2025 grant program in the amount not to exceed $21 million and 0 cents each for design and construction of the Reunify West Side Atlanta project. Be it further resolved that the mayor or his designee be encouraged to prepare and submit for FY 2025 RCP and RISE grant application to USDOT pursuant to the September 30th, 2024, January 13th, 2025, and NOFA for the project. Be it further resolved that the mayor or his designee in their sole discretion is hereby authorized to partner with one or more agencies in preparing and submitting the FY 2025 RCP and RISE grant application to USDOT. Be it finally resolved that it can be awarded if an award is made to the city by USDOT pursuant to the FY 2025 RCP and/or RISE grant application, execution of agreement which are necessary to accept the award shall be approved by subsequent actions of Atlanta City Council. Motion to accept.
There's a motion to adopt ELMS 36273 by Councilmember Amos. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Lewis. Any discussion on the motion to adopt this item? Hearing none, move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt ELMS 36273.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote's closed. 11 yeas, 0 nays.
11 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt carries. Next, we'll move to papers for referral. Councilmember Boone's up first today, and wishing her a happy birthday, which she just recently celebrated. The clerk let me do the birthday thing today. You see, isn't that nice?
Thank you, Mr. President. ELMS ID number 36208. 36208, an ordinance by Councilmember Andrea Boone authorizing the mayor or his designee to accept shelter and services program grant funding from the Department of Homeland Security Federal Emergency Management Agency in an amount not to exceed $10,819,662.00 to execute any necessary grant agreements to amend the fiscal year 2024 intergovernmental grant fund budget by adding to anticipations and appropriations an amount not to exceed $10,819,662.00.
ELMS ID 36208 will be referred to the CDHS committee.
Next item, ELMS ID number 36230, an ordinance by Councilmember Andrea Boone, an ordinance authorizing the chief financial officer or his designee to provide funding from the Gulch Housing Trust Fund to the City of Atlanta, Fulton County Land Bank Authority, Inc., Metro Atlanta Land Bank, in a total amount not to exceed $1,442,000.00 for the public purpose of preparing foreclosed properties for redevelopment with a focus on creating and preserving affordable housing, to authorize the mayor or his designee to execute any required amendment to the intergovernmental agreement between the City of Atlanta and the MALB, to authorize the chief financial officer or his designee to make all payments from the accounts listed here and for other purposes.
ELMS ID 36230 will be referred to the CDHS committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. This concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Amos, you're back.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have AMS number 36289, ordinance by Councilmember Byron D. Amos, Andrea L. Boone, Michael Julian Bunn, and Marcia Carrier Overstreet, authorizing a donation in the total amount not to exceed $20,000.00 from various carry forward accounts to Eversea Foundation for the 2024 Walk for Life pursuant to Section 6-306 of the City of Atlanta Charter and for other purposes.
ELMS ID 36289 will be referred to the FEC.
Have AMS number ID 36273, a resolution by Councilmember Byron D. Amos authorizing the mayor or his designee to apply for 2 fiscal year 2025 U.S. Department of Transportation discretionary grants. Hold on, back up. Erase that one.
Yep.
Forget about that one. That was already introduced, immediate consideration. Okay, AMS number 36288, a resolution by Councilmember Byron D. Amos requesting the mayor or his designee to negotiate an amendment to the more modern intergovernmental agreement to allow city council appointees to be a part of the more modern governance committee and for other purposes.
Sorry, which one was that?
That was 36288.
36288 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
AMS ID 36234, ordinance by Councilmember Byron D. Amos in accordance, an ordinance waiving the competitive source selection requirement contained in Article 10, Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, and authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to enter into a cost agreement for event production services for Live Nation Entertainment Incorporated for the 2024-2025 Peach Drop Festival for the benefit of the public in Atlanta in an amount not to exceed $650,000.00, authorizing that all Peach Drop contracted work shall be charged to and paid from the account listed herein, to authorize the chief financial officer or his designee to execute any insurance agreement which will be necessary for the city's sponsorship of the Peach Drop Festival and for other purposes.
AMS ID 36234 will be referred to the CDHS Committee.
AMS ID 36285, an ordinance by Councilmember Byron D. Amos, an ordinance to waive Chapter 2, Article 4, Division 1, Section 2-910, grant application, and to ratify the City of Atlanta submission of an application on behalf of the Department of Labor and Employment Services to apply for and to accept an award for the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation Pathways to Career Empowerment Grants to serve up to 75 justice-involved individuals with career training and employment services in an amount not to exceed $486,000.00, to authorize the mayor or his designee to execute any necessary agreements to accept the award, to amend the fiscal year 2025 intergovernmental budget by adding 2 anticipations and appropriations in the amount not to exceed $486,000.00, all funds to be charged to and paid from the fund and account number listed herein and for other purposes.
AMS ID 36285 will be referred to the CDHS Committee.
And last one, Mr. President, AMS 36222, a resolution by Councilmember Byron D. Amos, a resolution authorizing the City of Atlanta to donate a total amount not to exceed $250,000.00 to Grove Park Foundation pursuant to Section 6-306 of the City of Atlanta Charter to support community leadership in the Grove Park and historic Heights Bankhead neighborhoods, authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter in a donation agreement which shall detail the actions of the Grove Park Foundation to provide support for community leadership in the Grove Park neighborhood and Western Heights neighborhood, to authorize the chief financial officer or his designee to make the donation authorized hereby from the account listed herein and for other purposes.
AMS ID 36222 will be referred to the CDHS Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. End my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Bakhtiari.
Thank you. Two items today. Elms ID 36286, an ordinance by Councilmembers Liliana Bakhtiari, Jason Winston, Jason Dozier, Alex Wan, and Matt Westmoreland, authorizing a donation in an amount not to exceed $10,000.00 to Georgia Works from various carry-forward accounts pursuant to Section 6-306 of the City of Atlanta's Charter and for other purposes.
ALMS ID 36286 will be referred to the FEC.
Elms ID 36287, an ordinance by Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari, Winston, Lewis, Amos, Shook, Westmoreland, Bond, Boone, Hillis, Norwood, Overstreet, an ordinance to waive Division 4 of Article X, Chapter 2 of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, to authorize the mayor or his designee to execute a retroactive month-to-month agreement for pre-arrest diversion and community referral program services on behalf of the City of Atlanta with the Policing Alternatives and Diversion Initiatives in accordance with the terms of the MOU authorized by 20-0-1738, effective from July 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2024, in an amount not to exceed blank, all contracted work to be charged and paid from the fund department organization, and account numbers listed herein to ratify the acceptance of any pre-arrest diversion and community referral program services provided to the City of Atlanta by PAD from July 1, 2024 through the date of the execution of the agreement authorized hereby, to authorize the Chief Financial Officer to make a direct payment in an amount not to exceed $550,000.00 for services rendered from July 1st, 2024, and for other purposes.
Items ID 36287 will be jointly referred to PSLA and FEC committees.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bond.
Thank you, Mr. President. Helms number 36291, an ordinance by Councilmember Michael Julian Bond, authorizing the donation in a total amount not to exceed $1,100.00 from the Post-One-at-Large carry-forward account to the Stewart Foundation in support of the Youth Symposium pursuant Section 6-306 of the City of Atlanta's Charter and for other purposes.
Items ID 36291 will be referred to the FEC committee.
That concludes legislation being introduced for the cycle. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lewis.
Elms, thank you, President. Elms ID 36227, an ordinance by Councilmember Antonio Lewis, an ordinance to rezone 1029 McDaniel Street, parcel ID 14-00870051091 from R4B, single family residential district regulations from RLC Residential Limited Commercial for the purpose of a change of conditions to modify the official zoning map and for other purposes.
Items ID 36227 will be jointly referred to the zoning and ZRB committees.
Elms ID 36228, an ordinance by Councilmember Antonio Lewis, an ordinance to amend the land use element of the City of 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan, CDP, so as to designate certain properties in the Pittsburgh community from the single-family use classification to mixed-use low-density classification and for other purposes.
Items ID 36228 will be referred to the CDHS committee.
Thank you, President.
Thank you. Councilmember Norwood.
An ordinance by Councilmember Mary Norwood to amend Charter 10, Article 2, Section 1094A of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances so as to provide an exemption from the distance requirements listed in Section 1088 of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances for one convention center selling alcoholic beverages for consumption on the premises located at 1881 Howell Mill Road, Atlanta, Georgia, and for other purposes.
Items ID 36218 will be referred to the Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Overstreet.
I only have two. Elms ID number 36290, an ordinance by Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet, authorizing a transfer of $5,000 from the Council District 11 Carry Forward account to the Department of Parks and Recs for the purchase and installation of bleachers at Stone Hogan Road Park.
Elms ID 36290 will be referred to the FEC committee.
Okay, Elms ID number 36224, an ordinance by Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet to rezone property 0 Barge Road, parcel ID 1402510001033, located in the Meadowbrook Forest community from MRC 2C mixed-use residential commercial to MR3, multi-family residential, to modify the official zoning map and for other purposes.
Items ID 36224 will be jointly referred to the zoning and ZRB committees. Thank you. Councilmember Shook.
Elms 36258 is a resolution by Shook authorizing the Commissioner of Watershed Management to adjust water sewer service accounts on certain customer accounts incurred due to burst water service liens in the amount of X.
Items ID 36258 will be referred to the FEC.
Elms 36259 is a resolution by Shook authorizing the CFO to refund customers for overpayments to water and sewer accounts in the amount of X.
Items ID 36259 will be referred to the FEC.
Elms 36261 is an ordinance by Shook amending FY25 general fund budget by anticipating and appropriating an amount not to exceed blank from the council president and council member carry forward accounts with a net value of blank to be returned to the council president and council members carry forward accounts for the true up of FY25.
Items ID 36261 will be referred to the FEC.
And Elms 36263 is an ordinance by Shook authorizing a donation in amount not to exceed $1,500 from the council president carry forward account to the Atlanta Preservation Center pursuant to the charter section, charter code language written here.
Items ID 36263 will be referred to the FEC.
That is all.
Thank you. Councilor Westmoreland.
Thank you, Mr. President. Elms ID 36229, ordinance by Dozier and Westmoreland authorizing the CFO to create the Gulch Housing Trust Fund for the purpose of anticipating and appropriating the proceeds of in lieu fees and administrative costs paid pursuant to the TAD development agreements for the Atlanta Gulch project to authorize the chief financial officer to transfer an amount not to exceed $8,448,515.00 from the West Side in lieu of fee trust fund to the Gulch Housing Trust Fund and for other purposes.
Items ID 36229 will be referred to the FEC.
36220, Dozier and Westmoreland again. Authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute an agreement for SPs for the account listed here and Community Leadership Institute with Clark Atlanta University for educational programming on behalf of the Department of City Planning for a term of 2 years with no renewal options and an amount not to exceed $296,183.00. All contracted work to be charged to and paid from the department, organization, and account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Items ID 36220 will be referred to the CDHS committee.
36293, Westmoreland, $2,000 donation to the Atlanta Preservation Center pursuant to Section 6306 of the City of Atlanta's Charter and for other purposes.
Items ID 36293 will be referred to the FEC.
36254, Westmoreland and Juan, authorizing a donation in an amount not to exceed $1,500 from the District 6 carry forward account to the Morningside Athletics Park Association pursuant to 6306 of the Charter and for other purposes.
Items ID 36254 will be referred to the FEC.
36294, ordinance by Councilmember Westmoreland authorizing a donation not to exceed $1,000.00 from the Post to a Large Carry Forward account to the Scholarship Academy pursuant to 6306 of the City of Atlanta's Charter and for other purposes.
Items ID 36294 will be referred to the FEC.
36292, ordinance by Westmoreland authorizing a donation amount of $1,000 to the Wild Center pursuant to 6306 of the City of Atlanta's Charter and for other purposes.
Items ID 36292 will be referred to the FEC.
36200, resolution by Westmoreland pursuant to Section 6-306 of the City of Atlanta's Charter, authorizing the City of Atlanta on behalf of the Mayor's Office of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion to donate a total amount not to exceed $10,000 to Rainbow Railroad to support the resettlement and integration of LGBTQI+ refugees in Atlanta through the Welcome Corps program, authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a donation agreement which shall detail the actions of Rainbow Railroad concerning its Welcome Corps partnership in Atlanta and to authorize the chief financial officer or his designee to make all payments from the accounts listed herein and for other purposes.
Items ID 36200 will be referred to the CDHS committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Winston.
Thank you, Council President. My first item is Elms ID 36233, a resolution by Winston and Faroki, a resolution of the City of Atlanta declaring its preliminary determination of its intention to provide financial assistance for the redevelopment of the 2 Peachtree property into a transformative, transit-oriented, mixed-use development situated in the heart of downtown Atlanta and for other purposes.
Elms ID 36233 will be referred to the CDHS committee.
Elms ID 36284, an ordinance by Winston to add the name of the Reverend Dr. Robert Rice Jr. to the signage erected by the Atlanta Department of Transportation for the honorary dedication of Brown Avenue Southeast as Reverend Dr. Robert Rice Jr. Way and for other purposes.
Elms ID 36284 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Elms ID 36181, a resolution by Winston authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into an agreement on behalf of the Department of Parks and Recreation with Savi Provisions LLC for a term of 10 years with one 5-year renewal option for the operation of a commercial business at the Grant Park Gateway Restaurant Retail Project as set forth pursuant to the requirements of the RFP number listed, Grant Park Gateway Restaurant Retail Project Commercial Enterprises and for other purposes.
Elms ID 36181 will be referred to the CDHS Committee.
Elms ID 36198, a resolution by Winston authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the Department of Grants and Community Development to enter into a contract with MNS Engineers, Inc. for a term of 1 year in an amount not to exceed $145,440.00 to develop the city's next 5-year consolidated plan 2025 through 29 and first year annual action plan 25 to include the following programs: Community Development Block Grant Program, Emergency Solutions Grant Program, Home Invested Partnership Program, and Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS Program to be submitted to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development pursuant to the numbers listed. All contracted work shall be charged to and paid from accounts number listed, determined by the Chief Financial Officer and for other purposes.
Elms ID 36198 will be referred to the CDHS Committee.
Thank you. That concludes.
Thank you. That concludes the papers for referral today. We will now move to general remarks. Councilmember Lewis.
I want to wish a very, very happy birthday to Ashley Fogle Lewis. Year 36 is going to be a good year for us, so happy birthday.
Thank you. Councilmember Overstreet.
I'd like to wish a happy birthday to my soror seatmate, Councilwoman, the Honorable Councilwoman Andrea Boone, hailing from the fabulous District 10. Happy birthday, girl.
Indeed. Councilmember, anyone else? Remarks? Hearing none, I'll ask the clerk to do the closing roll call.
Council President Doug Shipman.
Present.
Councilmember Michael Julian Bond, Post 1 at Large. Councilmember Matt Westmoreland, Post 2 at Large. Councilmember Jason H. Winston, District 1.
Here.
Councilmember Amir Faroki, District 2. Councilmember Byron D. Amos, District 3. Councilmember Jason Dozer, District 4. Councilmember Liliana Bacchiari, District 5. Councilmember Howard Shook, District 7. Councilmember Mary Dory, District 8. Councilmember Dustin Hillis, District 9. Councilmember Andre L. Boone, District 10. Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet, District 11. Councilmember Antonia Lewis, District 12.
Without objection, we will stand adjourned.
Okay.